something structurally that people can unify under, because historically our morality has come from our religions, but slowly religions are losing their members, and so less and less people are subscribed to these major world religions that have it was punishable by death in the Old Testament. Now, when Jesus came in the New Testament, he came so that people didn't have to die for their sins anymore, but it was still considered a sin. And I think that, like, when I think about, when I put on like an atheist hat, and I say, okay, well, why would have these societies, why would they have written these books and put that in as a rule? I think they knew that the best way a society could function was for a man and a woman to be together, and for them to have children. And it was important to get more children and to populate these civilizations. And also, back then, they really didn't have machinery. Technology was pretty non-existent. I mean, they basically had fire and the wheel and animals to pull their carts and stuff. I mean, it was rudimentary for sure back then. So they needed children to help with the households, and that was a big part of, I think, why they felt like homosexuality was bad, and they didn't want to promote it, and they wanted to make it something that was wicked, because they didn't want people doing it. And so I think the people that were gay, they just had to suppress that, but I'm sure that it still went on, because if it wasn't going on, they wouldn't even mention it, right? So obviously it was going on. It was something. People were getting killed, and that's why they had to have thou shalt not kill. People were getting robbed, and that's why they had to have thou shalt not steal. And there were, gay men and women, probably. And that's why it was mentioned in there that a man should not lie with a man as he lies with a woman. It's a rule in Leviticus. But today, I mean, I know, like, I've got one friend specifically that if he couldn't be straight if he tried. I mean, he is so gay. Like, he is like, I mean, if he had a woman, it would be like, people would be like, what, you've got a woman? I mean, he is just, I just don't think he could be straight. So, and he's a great, great, great human being. And so, I struggle with that because he's such a good person, and I think, okay, how can it be wrong? How can it be, like, wrong for him to do it? And these are the issues that I really, kind of the questions that came into my mind as I was questioning religion, because it's absolutely unbelievable to me that Tony is this guy's name, that Tony would burn in hell just because he is acting on the impulses that he feels he was born with. And so I struggle with that. I struggle with that being wrong. And then, like, if you look at society today, it's like, I think, you can kind of trace it, like, with the military, where it used to be like you were not allowed to be gay in the military, and then it became don't ask, don't tell. So you could, if you said you were gay, you were getting kicked out. But if they knew you were, but nobody was talking about it, it was no big deal. But now it's fully open. You can be fully open and transparent. just waiting for those customers to come in. But at any rate, I'm getting off topic a little bit. So we've talked a little bit about some of the different laws, but morality as a whole. Another example is marriage, and I think, I understand marriage in the past because, women basically stayed home and took care of the home, and they didn't have careers, they didn't have the right to vote. A lot of them didn't drive. The man was really the leader of the home, and the woman was the mom, basically. And in those times, if ever there was a divorce, what was she to do? She didn't have skills to go out and, get a job in the world that was active at that time. And so they had to be protected. And by being married, the husband would be responsible for supporting that or providing her with, half the value of the home or whatever he happened to have to give up to do that. But I think today things are so different because I know, there's still a portion of society that doesn't believe that men and women are equal. I do believe that, and if you look at all the women in positions of power, certainly there's more men that are CEOs but there are, if you look at hospitals, there's a lot more nurses than there are men nurses, and school teachers than there are men school teachers. A lot of industries where women do have the majority, and they're getting more and more prevalent in a lot of other fields. Attorneys. I'm in real estate, and the most successful real estate agents in this area are women, not men. I work for the largest real estate company in Indiana, and the most successful real estate salesperson in Indiana is a woman. But now women can be police officers and Navy SEALs. So much has changed there, and it's actually changing the dynamic, I think, of the world. So, so is marriage still relevant today? Why does a preacher marry you, but it takes a lawyer and a judge to divorce you? It just doesn't make any sense. It seems like a very weird system. And then, if you're married, then you have to be with that one person and that one person only. There's a lot of religions that believe men can have more than one wife, and so there's another kind of gray area we're kind of developing, and it looks like evolving as a society. There's now a lot more talk of open marriages and swingers. Used to, if you heard about something, be like, wow, that would be just crazy if you heard somebody was a swinger. But now it's not that shocking if you know people that do that, and people that have more than one sexual partner, and that their husbands or wives